Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
I want to be clear to those who try to oppose the United States. I want to be clear to those who wish to do us harm. We'll stop you, and we will beat you harder than you've ever been beaten before. Make no mistake about that. Other countries, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, went to school on us in hopes of defeating us at some point in the future.
Mounting tensions with possible nuclear outcomes are worldwide. We are sliding into a new Cold War with Russia as Russia ships new anti-missile systems into Syria. This after Russia held a nuclear war exercise of 40 million Russians, mobilizing 200,000 emergency services and soldiers and 50,000 pieces of equipment. Elsewhere, nuclear tensions have risen between Pakistan and India after a jihadi attack on an Indian Air Force base left 19 soldiers dead. India then entered Pakistan and surgically struck terrorist camps in Kashmir. Breitbart reported, "It is becoming increasingly clear that something serious has changed in relations between Pakistan and India as a result of repeated attacks of violence in the Indian-controlled region of Kashmir. It is clear that each country in a generational crisis era is on a trend line to become increasingly nationalistic and belligerent towards the other, and it is also clear that these trend lines will continue on the same path until they result in war. From the point of view of generational dynamics, it is not a question of if, but of when, and with the rapid rise in nationalism on both sides, when may not be too far off. Of course, with all of the saber rattling, North Korea doesn't want to be left out either. Satellite images reveal North Korea is constructing a submarine capable of getting the North Koreans' newly developed ballistic missiles within range of the United States coastline. CNN reported, "Doing a major test would be a way of trying to intimidate the incoming president. North Korea chooses particular windows that they know will gain maximum attention from the world, and the US in particular. And Iran, after having plane loads of cash and sanctions lifted, is playing its hand." Washington Free Beacon reported the Obama administration misled journalists and lawmakers for more than 9 months about a secret agreement to lift international sanctions on a critical funding node of Iran's ballistic missile program as part of a broader ransom package earlier this year that involved Iran freeing several U.S. hostages, according to U.S. officials and congressional sources apprised of the situation. Breitbart wrote in a speech delivered last month in Tehran and translated this week by the Middle East Media Research Institute, Mohsen Rafidoust, who was minister of the IRGC during the 1980s in the Iran-Iraq War, added that IRGC ground forces are 5 times better than the U.S. Army, saying, "Despite all the enemy media and cultural propaganda against us, if America wants to try its luck against us, it should know that we are completely capable of mobilizing 9 million fighters." And of course, China, with its ambition to become the world's next superpower, is readying its populace for war against the United States. In a Pew Research poll conducted with Chinese citizens, just under half of the respondents said the U.S. is a major threat, according to the report, marking the highest percentage among the 7 potential threats tested on the survey. The other threats included global economic instability, climate change, cyber attacks, and the Islamic State. World War III is heating up, and the United States is on autopilot.
Sometimes I'm criticized in my own country for professing a belief in international norms and multilateral institutions, but I am convinced that in the long run, giving up some freedom of action, binding ourselves to international rules, over the long term enhances our security.
Led by a weak commander-in-chief that has brought military levels down, backed by a State Department embarking on a strategy of foreign policy that has begun a brand new Cold War with Russia, bringing the globe to the brink of World War III, all in time for an October surprise.
So we're live in the UN in New York, where Syria's UN envoy Bashar al-Jafari was just addressing the Security Council. And now he said it's a shame what French politicians did in Libya. And today, certain politicians are spinning the Syrian crisis with false information and accusations. The country is under attack by terrorists from abroad, including many European countries. He has once again called for a political solution to the Syrian crisis and said that no one is as eager as Syrians themselves to put an end to the spilling of more Syrian blood in the country. But there are countries who continue to train and arm terrorists without a care for the rising number of casualties taking place. You want to say the US, the UK, and France also continue to deceive the world that it's moderate rebels that are fighting the Syrian government when it's the farthest thing from the truth. Al-Nusra Front has changed its name, but still is a terrorist group and still is enjoying the support of some foreign countries.
I remind the U.S. colleagues that the air defense of the Russian military bases near Homaimim and Tartus is covered by a range of Russia's S-300 and S-400 air defense missile systems, which cover a radius that may be a surprise to any country operating its aircraft over the country. It must be understood that Russian air defense missile crews will unlikely have time to clarify via the hotline the exact flight program of the missiles or the ownership of their carriers. And dilettante illusions about stealth planes could collide with disappointing realities.
The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed deployment of the missile and dismissed Western concerns. The ministry said that contingents of missile troops have been moved many times and will continue to be moved to the region as part of a Russian armed forces training plan. Russia says one of the missiles was deliberately exposed to US spy satellites, but the United States failed to discover them. The Iskander is a tactical ballistic missile system and has a range of up to 700 kilometers.
Hurricane Matthew slammed into southern Haiti, the strongest storm to make landfall there in more than 50 years, and now also one of the deadliest. The death toll has been rising since Tuesday, from an initial estimate of 5 to reports now of nearly 900, and still counting.
Hurricane winds over 140 miles per hour ripped the roof off this house in the Bahamas. We felt the wrath of Matthew as the storm hit overnight in Exuma.
Beaches are empty, homes are boarded up, and here on Exuma Island, most of the people are without electricity.
In Haiti, the death toll is over 100 and rising, 2 days after the hurricane hit the island nation as a Category 4. In Jérémie, 145-mile-per-hour winds decimated homes, while floodwaters swept away roads and bridges. The widespread damage prompted the Haitian government to suspend Sunday's presidential election.
And now let's turn to South Korea, where Typhoon Chaba has battered southern parts of the country, and reports say at least 5 people were killed on Wednesday. The typhoon caused flooding in the country's main port, industrial cities and major factories, and dozens of flights in and out of the resort island of Jeju, which is a popular destination for Chinese tourists, have been cancelled. The country's largest port in the city of Busan is closed for the second consecutive day. Work in factories owned by Hyundai Motors in the city of Ulsan has been suspended after facilities were partially flooded. Authorities say 2,500 schools across the country are closed.
Turkish officials say a motorcycle bomb has exploded near a police station in Istanbul, wounding 5 people, one of them seriously. Ambulances rushed to the scene and security forces were deployed to the area. The bomb exploded in the Yenibazna neighborhood, several kilometers from Istanbul's Ataturk airport. There have been a number of bomb attacks in Turkey in recent months, some blamed on the Kurdistan Workers' Party militant group and some on Islamic State.
Hurricane Matthew pummeled America's oldest city, St. Augustine, dumping more than 9 inches of rain and causing widespread flooding. Bill Arlt heeded evacuation orders but is staying nearby.
What are you expecting to see when you return to your house?
That's a good question. You can't answer that until we see it.
More than half of the city's 14,000 residents chose to stay, some of them now trapped in their homes and businesses by water.
How many kids are in there?
This man can be seen standing on the steps of the Casablanca Inn. 20 people were stuck inside. No injuries or deaths have been reported. Wind gusts of over 80 miles per hour tore through roofs, toppled trees, and submerged cars. This cell phone video shows floodwater inside a local college. The college is now closed. Nearly 65,000 customers are without power.
Oh my gosh, guys, we should back away.
An hour south in Daytona Beach, the only thing that separated the storm surge and this home from being flooded was a glass patio door.
German police have arrested 3 suspects in connection with a hunt for a Syrian-born man suspected of planning a bomb attack. Police also say that they have found several hundred grams of explosives in an apartment that they raided in the eastern city of Chemnitz. They were following information that someone may have been planning a bombing attack. Police are still searching for the suspect, identified as 22-year-old Jabba al-Bakr from near Damascus. A Saxony police spokesman said 2 people who knew al-Bakr were taken into custody in the Chemnitz train station area and a third in downtown Chemnitz.
In Turkey's capital, where another round of deadly explosions took place on Saturday. 2 suicide bombers detonated the car bombs in Ankara after police called on them to surrender. The suspects, believed to be a man and a woman, were dead on site. No one else was hurt. Police said evidence shows the bombers have links to Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. One day earlier, another Kurdish group with ties to PKK claimed responsibility for Thursday's motorbike bombing that wounded 10 people in Istanbul. Over the past few months, a number of explosions have hit Turkey, including the bloodiest one that killed 103 people in August 10, 2015. The attack was blamed on Islamic State group.
Recent satellite images are fueling concerns that the DPRK may be close to conducting another nuclear test or long-range rocket launch. Imagery analysis posted by Johns Hopkins University in the U.S. shows increased activity at DPRK's Sohae satellite launch station. However, as the tower and assembly structures on the launch pad are both covered, it is unclear whether this activity is related to launch preparations or other operations. Now, Pyongyang conducted its 5th nuclear test last month on the anniversary of the founding of the DPRK.
The United States and South Korea have begun a 6-day joint naval drill in South Korea with the participation of a U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The drill comes amid growing speculation that Pyongyang might conduct the new nuclear test or ballistic missile launch we mentioned earlier. The Invincible Spirit 2016 drill will last from Monday to Saturday in all waters around the Korean peninsula. The US has deployed nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan along with 7 warships, and South Korea has mobilized about 40 warships. A spokesman for the South Korean Navy said the exercises are aimed at countering the relentless provocations by the DPRK.
A suicide car bombing has killed at least 14 people, including 10 police officers in the southwestern province of Helmand. A local official says the Taliban carried out the attack after they targeted police checkpoints. The group controls large parts of the province and has launched counteroffensives against government forces. Helmand is the country's main opium source. It makes an estimated $4 billion worth of the product every year, making it strategically important to the Taliban.
U.S. military says its Navy-guided missile destroyers come under an attempted missile attack from territory in Yemen controlled by Houthi fighters. Pentagon said USS Mason detected 2 inbound missiles within 60 minutes in the Red Sea off the coast of Yemen. It also added the missiles landed in the sea before reaching the ship, and there were no casualties. The destroyer, along with 2 other warships, had arrived in the region immediately after a missile attack left a United Arab Emirates warship destroyed 5 days ago. Yemen's army, which is backed by Ansarullah fighters, claimed responsibility for that attack. The Emirati warship was formerly operated by the U.S. Navy off the coast of Yemen. Meanwhile, the Yemeni army, backed by Houthi fighters, have targeted an airbase with a ballistic missile in Taif. The attack was the deepest strike yet into the kingdom by Yemeni forces and caused a huge explosion inside the base. Taif is home to King Fahd Air Base, which hosts U.S. military personnel.